was actually thinking about you guys this morning. So, all right, hi everybody. Josh Wagner here. I know people are coming into the room. This is great. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why you are cruel to the people that you are supposed to love. All right? Because we all do it. Why is that? Now, I'm going to be working out of a book by a guy named David Lieberman. Oh, that's right. You got back from Florida. That's right. That's very cool. Hope it was a great trip. I love Florida. We were there earlier this year, actually, when we were in the middle of the course. So why are you such a jerk? You're a jerk sometimes. Not you, Leslie, but hey, Annie, how you doing? You're a jerk. I'm a jerk. We're all jerks, and we're particularly jerks to people we care about. I'm not saying that I'm like this all the time, but I'm much more likely to say a mean word to someone I'm close to rather than somebody who is a stranger. In fact, when it comes to strangers, like, I'm the best, I'm the best when it comes to my loved ones too. I'm not saying that this is always me, but this is the people that I'm, at least in my own experience, is the one I'm probably most willing to say something bad to. So why are you like this? Why are you a jerk? Why are you nasty to the people that you supposedly care about? I think it's a really great question. Now, I'm going to be taking my notes from a book called Instant Analysis by David J. Lieberman. It's a bit of an old book. It's about 25 years old now, but it's a great, great book. I really love it. It's great. So you tell me what your theory is. When you're mean to somebody who you are supposed to love, be it your parents, your significant other, your brothers and sisters, your friends, why are you more likely, and this is a generalization, maybe you're not like this, why are you more likely to treat a stranger better than you are going to treat your own family? Tell me that. Tell me why that is. And again, I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. I'm curious about this particular answer. I know that you probably are as well. But let me know what you think about this entire thing, about why you think you might be this way. So I'm going to tell you why I think it's this way, because so we have a couple answers here coming. I don't say mean things, but I appear like I don't care about things my boyfriend cares about. So yeah, let's consider that as part of this as well. So it's not always saying something, but it's not always being engaged, right? So why is that? Why are you, when a stranger comes up to you with something, why might you pay more attention to the stranger? So let's talk about that. Cruelty can take a lot of different forms, like ignoring something somebody finds important, not validating their feelings, saying something mean to them. You can go all the way to abusive situations. I think, I'm going to read the answer here in just a second. I think it's because we're not able to talk to other people, assert ourselves. We can assert ourselves with people that are safe. So I think that that's one of the things that happens to us, is I think that we get into this sense of safety with other people. And I think that we're safe to express ourselves and our anger, whereas with a stranger, we're not necessarily. So let me read this to you and let me see how close I am. Okay. I also think it's safer to express ourselves to people because we know they're not going anywhere. Right. So Leslie says, sometimes my wife and I can be short or frustrated with each other when we're stressed. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm talking about, right? I can be stressed out and still be kind of nice to strangers, but sometimes I bring that home and I'm not always present or affirming or validating to my girlfriend, for instance, So I think that that's a really interesting thing. So let's see what Lieberman says. And if this is you, then let me know. Or just don't let me know. You don't have to call yourself out on that. Sometimes I'm aware of it, but most times I don't realize what I'm doing. I tell a friend I'll do something that I really have no intention of doing. So cruelty in this regard is not like abusive. I think he's kind of mitigating a bit. I put off meetings, appointments, or tasks if they're not 100% convenient for me. I'm capable of saying very hurtful things to people I really care about. And when something goes wrong that I'm responsible for, I'm quick to blame someone or something other than myself. Yeah, I've done that, man. I do it. I still have to fight that tendency. I do it all the time where I don't want to take the blame for something that I did. And it's not always blame. Let's change that word to responsibility, because something can be not my fault, but it can become my responsibility, right? So let's go on. He says, you're not able to assert yourself or express your ideas and thoughts because you either want to avoid confrontation or you do not feel that your self-interest is worthy of such a stance. Well, this is so I'm taking this from the book here. Therefore, you seek to even the score by being hostile or cruel. Since your own desires are being kept submerged, you feel, albeit unconsciously, that others' wants should not be fulfilled either. Okay, What do you think of this? That you're not getting your way, and so you don't want anybody else to get their way either. I think that can happen. It doesn't necessarily happen to me, but I do think that can happen. This may generate very direct. And you know what? I would rather somebody be direct, Annie, with their feelings than indirect. There's nothing worse than having to guess things, so it's actually a really good thing to be direct. So let's stop for a second. I think this is really important because I see this with my clients sometimes, is that people confuse direct and cruel. People confuse those two things all the time. Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about, Andy. I'm just seeing your next comment there, but it appears that I mean. People confuse direct and cruel. I had this boss a long time ago, worked for him for a year, and I was just in college, I was a freshman in college, and I thought he was the meanest guy on the face of the earth. And he just passed away about 6 months ago. I stayed up with him for a long, long time. And, he was just direct. And I came to understand that he wasn't being mean. He was being direct. And actually, I respected that way more at the end. As I grew up and as I realized he wasn't just trying to be mean to me, but he was just telling me as it was. And so looking back, what was great about that guy is I always knew where I stood with him. I always knew where I stood with that guy. I knew if I was doing something wrong, doing something right. And at the end, he fired me, but he fired me because it wasn't a mean firing. It's just, he wanted to do something else with the job and ended up having somebody else that was already there kind of doing the job. So, Annie, this is great. I don't want to hurt feelings, but I don't know how to get my feelings heard. Plus, always end up hurting feelings. Yeah. So here's there's this idea that you can learn. So I need to learn to be more direct. That's me. I'm a diplomat. I'm very a sweet talker. I'm a hypnotist, of course. That's what I do for a living, is sweet talk people into changing. It's just, but there's times that I've had to learn this to be direct. And again, direct and cruel sound like they're kind of the same, but they're not. Actually, I think being direct is actually very good. There's no guessing. Everything's on the table. No, I get what you had to say there. So I think it's really, really important for us to understand there's a huge difference between those two things. So let's go on. I think be direct is great, Andy. I've noticed that, you've commented a few times on my posts, and you're a pretty direct person. And at first, I didn't know how to take it, honestly. But then I'm like, she's right. She's just telling it as it is. So I do appreciate that. I do, I have to adjust myself when somebody is being direct to also, because that's not my style. But there are times in which I am super direct with people now because it gets the job done instead of talking around it. There are times you can sweet talk people all you want, but you're never going to get the job done, right? So that's great. This may generate, let's go on with the book here. This may generate anger towards yourself because your own needs and wants are not being met due to your own passivity. Now the blame is directed toward, and this anger manifests in self-destructive behaviors. You now do to yourself what you have been doing to other people. You set goals you'll never reach and continually set yourself up for failure and disappointment. You procrastinate on things you want to, and engage in other self-destructive behaviors. Interesting that he equates procrastination with self-destruction. I don't disagree with him. Your behavior is never consciously examined because the blame for your not succeeding is sure to be placed outside of yourself. Above everything else, protection of your facade is primary, and taking responsibility for your failures is not a burden you're willing to bear. So, oh no, Andy, it's great. No, I love your comments. Your comments are awesome. It's just, there aren't a lot of direct people out there. And so I always have to take a step back and I have to say, is she, well, the first couple of times it was like, okay, is she disagree with me, or is she just being direct? And the answer is you're being direct, and I love it. Keep doing it. I love your comments. I think they're fantastic. So let me just reiterate that right now. So the idea that Lieberman's putting forth is you're this way because you can't get what you want out. You start to fail, and then you blame somebody else for that frustration. I don't think that's always the case. I don't think that's exhaustive, but I think it's an interesting way to look at those things. You may have noticed that when things are going well for you, you have more patience with yourself and others. When things are not going particularly well, or if you're in a bad mood, you tend to be more hostile and abrupt. The underlying current here is resentment. When your own needs are met, you're willing and happy to oblige others. Totally agree with that statement. I think that those are really good. So here are his solutions. And I just have a few more minutes before I have a 12:30 appointment. He says, here's a couple of solutions to this. One, express your anger in ways that don't hurt you or anyone else. Sometimes you have a specific focus for your anger and other times not. Don't let it build up inside. Get rid of it as soon as you can get a chance. I totally agree with that. You have to be honest with yourself, though. That's a really big part of all this, is a lot of people are not honest with this. This is why they do this in the first place, is because they're not honest with themselves. So, the first thing is be honest. If you're angry, feel it. A lot of people, and this is a whole other topic, a lot of people see anger as a sin, or you're not a good person if you're angry. Anger is a perfectly legitimate emotion that you have a right to. You totally have a right to that, and it's just you should feel that, That's right, Leslie. When she says, when I'm overwhelmed, I don't have as much energy to give to others. That's right. Yell at the top of your lungs while you're mowing the lawn or using a leaf blower or snowplow. I don't agree with that necessarily. I think studies have shown that punching a punching bag or screaming is not necessarily the best thing. Sometimes it feeds in on the anger. Do anything that requires heavy physical labor. I agree with that. If necessary, write a scathing letter to the object of your scorn, then rip it up and throw it in the trash before anybody sees it. By venting these destructive urges, you remove the need to indulge in hostile or self-destructive behavior. Releasing your anger is an important investment in your physical, emotional, and mental health. Totally agree with all that. Anybody have any disagreements with all that? Go out and mow the lawn. That's what one of his suggestions. Get rid of resentment by focusing on your own needs. And I think this is a better thing. Happy people do not need to get even with those who are successful. Examine what is missing from your own life. The instant you begin to move toward a worthwhile goal, you'll feel excited about your future. When this happens, you'll find yourself becoming infinitely more patient and kind around others. Perhaps you're resentful because you've been sacrificing your own needs for those of others. Remember that you can't take care of anyone effectively if you aren't taking care of yourself, so make sure that your needs are met. Do you have time to do the things that are important to you? I tell people this all the time. Leslie, it's great. It's great to see you. I'm so glad that you checked in here. So have a great day, and thanks for stopping in. Remember that you can't take care of anyone effectively. You're not taking care of yourself. Do you have time to do the things that are important to you? Are you getting enough rest and time for relaxation? Do you have opportunities to play? Do you ask people for help when you need help? Be good to yourself. I totally agree with all these statements right here. I think that they're really smart and wise. And Lieberman says this last part, and I'm going to use the word spiritual in a very general sense here. One way to gain meaning and purpose is to have an active daily relationship with God or a divine being or a higher power or whatever it is, or an internal life, I would say. Participate in your faith community and connect regularly with like-minded people. I think that doesn't have to be exactly a religious community. It can be any kind of community where you are intimate and share things with people. Even sports can fulfill that goal. When you view your life within a larger context, you gain a deeper respect and appreciation for your fellow human beings as well as for yourself. What do you think, guys? I think this is right on the money. I think he's doing a lot of great things, talking about things. The reason we get upset with people is because we're not getting what we need, because maybe we're not taking care of ourselves because we don't feel worthy. Another thing that Lieberman always says is when you're living your purpose and being successful at it, you're going to be a lot calmer. He's right. It's an answer that he gives in almost every single one of these questions that I get from his book. So when you're living your higher purpose, when you're focused on living your goals and your purpose and your higher self, you're going to be a lot calmer. You're going to be a lot kinder to people. I know that that's the case with me. The last time I had any troubles was a couple of weeks ago. Easter week is kind of a weird week for me just because of what I used to do for a living. And it's really, I was a bit short because I wasn't taking care of myself. Rarely I'm like that, but I do know that there are times in which I do get like that. So any other comments or questions before I go? I have a wonderful new appointment here in about 6 minutes. You guys are welcome to, if you've never had a free appointment with me, go to inspiringhypnosis.com and sign up for a free hour appointment. It really is free. We'll do some hypnosis. We'll talk about whatever is ailing you. We'll see what we can do about it. All right. I know we have a question here. What do I do if I don't know what to do? Well, the best thing is, so beyond, let me give you a very short answer. There's something called nonviolent communication, which is a book. I highly recommend you learn that process so that you can take care of your needs. remember, the basics of NVC are this. A negative emotion means that a need is not getting fulfilled. A positive emotion means that it is. So if you're feeling a negative emotion, the question is, what do I need that I'm not getting? That's where you start. If somebody else is in a bad mood or in a difficult spot, you got to ask the same question. What are they not getting that they aren't? What do they need that they're not getting? You might be able to ask them directly, or you might have to guess. But if you don't know what to do, that's the question I would ask is, okay, I'm feeling crappy, or they're feeling crappy, and I wonder what I'm not getting that I need, or I wonder what they're not getting that they need. That would be my quick answer to this before I have to go to my appointment. So I hope that's helpful. All right, everybody. I love seeing you all here. It's wonderful. Annie, keep the comments coming. I love it when you comment on my stuff. You really are insightful and great. So keep it coming. And for the rest of you, I hope you have a great day.